What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MicroStrategy, going over some indicators, going over Bitcoin, and looking at S&P 500. So we've been respecting our long-term trend line, still intact. Beautiful bounce off of it. Looks like it's trying to repeat the same move that we've seen once, twice. Hopefully this is a third time. We're looking at these bull flags here. Let's see if that bull flag plays out to this measured target here. We'll go over that later. But everything's looking pretty good. We have a close above this level of support and resistance at 292. We didn't really get a bounce, but we're holding above it, which is a nice sign. We love to see that. We are approaching our next target, which is this downward sloping trend line. We definitely want to break that. If we don't break that, then we can continue to chop within here. And if we fall underneath this, then our next level of support would be this upward sloping trend line, the gray one. So right now we're still kind of just compressed. A lot of things are red today, except for Bitcoin, believe it or not. Most of the market is red, which is crazy. Even the S&P 500 is down 1%, and Bitcoin is still up 1.5%. You don't see that happen too often. So I know people are saying that, it's breaking the correlation, but I don't think that's true. Not yet. Maybe with time, but I don't think we're there yet. But anyways, this downward sloping trend line, we had 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 touches, and it looks like we're trying to touch it again. Remember, the more we touch things, the easier it is to break through it on that following touch, the more you touch it. So maybe we touch it again, maybe we get rejected, but maybe this is the one that we break out on, because this thing is starting to weaken. Every time you touch it, it weakens down a little bit. And going back, we have this downward sloping trend line that we broke out, retested, got a beautiful bounce off of. We talked about that, saying that we had these two trend lines and we wanted to see which one was in play, but it looks like both of them are still in play. So it turned out pretty well. We were a little worried once we got this close underneath this upward sloping trend line, but we got a massive green candle, which we talked about before it happened, and it ended up happening. Perfect. So things are looking good right now. Very bullish. We just need the bulls to kick up some momentum. The past 2 days have kind of just been sideways, nothing really happening. As you can see, they move up, wick, back down, move down, wick, back up. It's kind of just the name of the game right now. Let's see if it happens again, or if we get a nice little move up. But we definitely need to break above some of these wicks to make our way up. So I'll talk about that more on the Bitcoin chart as well. In terms of the SMAs, we're holding the 20 and the 50. Beautiful. We got the 20, a smaller moving average across a larger moving average, the 50. Looking good right there. It's very bullish. And we are still waiting for that moment where we hit 326, 328, around that area, and we meet the downward sloping trend line with the 20-week SMA strong level. And I think we also have the Bollinger bands above us as well, which we'll go over. So we got a close above the blue band. We got a strong bounce, looking very good. Let's see if we can continue on up. And on the weekly, that's the other Bollinger band. So we have the moving average in the same place as the Bollinger band at 328, 326 with the downward sloping trend line. A lot of confluence. Be ready for some rejection there. Even if we break through, we're going to probably have a little stumble here before we can actually break through it. Unless we get enough momentum to just blast through it, but I could definitely see us stumbling a little bit before we actually run through that. On the RSI, we're looking good. We got that inverse head and shoulders that we talked about. Looks like it's playing out. We kind of got a little sideways action, but now it looks like things are starting to try and move up a little bit and having an increase in strength. On the weekly, we're looking very nice. Potentially found a bottom, we'll see, but now it's starting to create higher highs and higher lows. We got a minor pullback, and we made a fresh high right here. Talking about this move starting from February 24th. So we got that fresh high, pullback, and now we got a fresh high here. And it looks like we're finally, I can't tell, we're right on that moving average. So let's see once we finally break that, if we can get some sustained strength underneath price and a strong move to the upside and eventually to overbought territory. But we are holding above the midline, which is a 50. When you look at the scale here, this dotted line, it's a 50. So we want to hold above that and eventually push up to 70 and beyond on this scale here on the RSI. We want to see these green shaded tops right here. MACD is looking perfect. You cannot get it any more perfect than that. A W-shaped bottom, double bottom, rallying up, surpassing the orange moving average, pushing up higher, creating larger candles. We're getting that now, an uptrend in volume. We love to see that. We need volume to push MicroStrategy in general. It's a volume-based play. And we still have the continued downtrend on the weekly in volume, which we want to see. We want to see a decrease in bearish volume and an increase in bullish volume up and to the right. I know some people are wondering price targets. I know we do have some new people in here, so I'll go over it again. Talk about this a lot. So we have our first flagpole. Boom. Flagpole. Textbook right here. Measure it to the next one. It called this move almost spot on. Measure this out. And then we're using this same flagpole to call the next move. Measure it from here. And we're looking at somewhere in this 1,000 to 1,200 region, which also lines up with our Fibonacci's, which I'll pull right now. This is a flipped Fibonacci. So we pulled from here to here. We got our bounce off of our 382, shot up off the golden zone here in the middle, and we surpassed our 1618, and we hit the 2618 and the 2272, which are the strong levels that we're looking for the price targets. And then when we move this here and measure on this pole here, from this top to this bottom, same idea. We surpassed the 382 because we had more of an exaggerated move with more bearish sentiment around the price. And now we're still underneath our golden zone, the 0.5 of the 618, which we need to surpass. And then hopefully we can eventually see the 1618 and eventually the 2272 and 2618 within this year. But the things that could be holding us back would be if we have a spike in unemployment or if we have inflation concerns. Any kind of macroeconomic data or concerns can affect Bitcoin's price, which would do a domino effect and affect MicroStrategy. So as long as everything remains well and Bitcoin continues its normal seasonality, how it normally has been for the past 3 cycles, then this should play out pretty close. Not going to say exact numbers, but somewhere in this region, hopefully at the top of this channel sometime by the end of the year, if everything holds up together. Now, if we get a economic downturn, all this could mean absolutely nothing, because technicals are important, but fundamentals are also important. So if things start to get bad, this whole move irrelevant. This flagpole irrelevant. Everything's irrelevant, and this thing's gonna tank. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. That's where our mind is at. And if we were to take a flagpole on Bitcoin from this move to here, measure that out, almost, not exactly, but it got you almost to the top here on this call here. We'll move it up a little bit more to get that next leg for this flagpole here, unless you start it from this point, but these are just estimates. And it takes you to around 150,000. So we'll see. And 150,000 would probably take us on MicroStrategy to maybe 1,200, 1,500. Remember, the MNAV will start kicking up. So if you start getting a couple good days and a blow off top on MicroStrategy, it could overshoot that $1,200 target and maybe hit 1,500, 1,600 and then wick back down, because we have seen blow off tops previously on MicroStrategy. We've seen one here, blow off top, 2 blow off top, and a 3rd blow off top here in 2021. So it seems like that is the final move usually in MicroStrategy, a blow off top before heading downward. But I do think it's probably gonna top before Bitcoin, more than likely. Time frame, I have no clue, but I definitely think it'll top before Bitcoin. But overall, Bitcoin's looking very good. Like I said, it's the only thing that's really green today. We have this downward sloping trend line that we finally broke out of. We kind of got like a mini retest. I don't know if we're going to get a larger retest of it and push down to maybe like 80,000, 81,000 to get a bounce off of this. but we'll see how it plays out, of course. On a minor scale, what we would love to see is a daily close above this wick here, or somewhere in this region. We want it to close above 85,267. We want to close inside of these wicks. We want a solid close above here ideally, and somewhere in between here would also be okay. And that could give us enough momentum to bounce off of this minor level of support and resistance right here. If we can get a close, bounce off of it, and that could propel us to the next level at 88.2, so about 87.5. And if we break that, then maybe we can see 91 to about 92.6, and this is the most important level on this chart right now to the upside, because once we break back into this range, things can start to get fun once again. But we got to go step by step, and this is the first one that we need to break. We want to see a daily close above this region here. On the SMAs, we keep playing around with this 50-day, closing above, back below, back above. So we're above it currently. Let's see if we get to close again. Maybe we get another retest tomorrow if we close above it today. And we still need to break this 200, which is going to be a huge deal. And that 200 also coincides with this zone that we have drawn out. So that's going to be a key level of resistance that we need to break. And the weekly, we're in the middle of nowhere. On the Bollinger Band, we also have to worry about this red band when we're pushing up. It also lines up with this key level that we have here. Looks like we're starting to build a flagpole on the RSI, looking very good. And let's see if we can start getting some fresh highs here and surpass this 53.24 level and see the strength kick up and get Bitcoin to start ramping up. Looks like we're trying to get like a double bottom pattern here. Let's see if we make our way up to the yellow moving average and surpass it. Global liquidity. This thing has just, if we follow global liquidity how we have been, this move should be ridiculous. I mean, you look at global liquidity, it's going up again. We said yesterday that maybe this was just a minor pullback. It looks like that's all it was. I thought it was going to pull back a little bit deeper like we've seen here after such a large run up. But look at that. It pulled back a tiny bit and it's already pushing up higher, making fresh highs. I mean, this move, it's literally been going up for a total of 105 days. Global liquidity has just been ramping up nonstop. And we're 105 days out right now. So if it's 105 days, okay, we're still within that window. But that window is starting to close. This thing either has to start ramping up or it already has. And this was our date right here. It's either 96 or 98 days. If this was the bottom, then it was 96 or 98 for the correlation. But we'll see. Maybe we get another bottom, but I don't know. We'll find out, of course. But this thing is still ramping up. It's just never ending. It feels like global liquidity just keeps ramping up. If you look on the CME watch tool, percentages are starting to increase towards the Fed cutting rates. So if we get Fed rate cuts, people are talking about them to stop reducing their balance sheets and start to actually increase their balance sheets, which is going to stimulate the economy. And that's when the real QE begins. That's when your stupid meme coin is going to start going crazy. The Floki coin, the this coin, the D's analysis coin, every coin that you could imagine is going to start ramping up. All the no-name coins will start ramping up once we start getting that QE. That hasn't begun yet. But look at global liquidity without QE. So imagine once QE begins. This thing's going to be crazy. I also heard something about Germany printing out $1 trillion. So that's more global liquidity. Bitcoin isn't just a US-based thing. Multiple countries will be buying. This thing is if this leads and we follow this, it's gonna be a fun time. As long as we don't get anything to intercept, you know, the boom, then this should be a crazy year. We'll see. Maybe it surprises us in a good way, or maybe it surprises us in a bad way. Maybe we don't take off how we anticipate, but I think it's going to be a pretty good year. The S&P 500 divided by the VIX, we got some wicks off of these levels, the COVID low, and then this little scare here before ramping up. We have another one. So let's see if we get back above this primary trend line and we hold this and surpass it and just start creating fresh highs. That would be nice to see, and Bitcoin would love that. And then we also have the Bitcoin divided by the VIX, which has been playing out pretty well as well. Very similar. We got a strong wick. We've pulled off to the 886. We got strong bounces off of those. So on this first move here, you can see we made it to the 886. We surpassed it. On the next move here, this leg, we made it to the 886 again, just shy of it. And then on this one, this leg here, we surpassed it once, and then we just, oh, I'm sorry, actually this doesn't even count because we're pulling to the top here, so this is irrelevant. All that matters is to the right of this wick right here, so only these 4 or 5 candles matter. So we got a bounce off the 886 and coincides with the trend line, looking perfect. We've seen the 886 get touched and then price taking off right after that. So let's see if it continues. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see this candle turn green. We still have 14 days left, so a lot can happen. Overall, the S&P 500 fell beneath this long-term trend line that we have established all the way from March 2020. Fell underneath it, closed, and now we closed back inside, and now it looks like we're retesting that trend line. Let's see if we get that sharp bounce, and it'll coincide with the bounce with Bitcoin. But I still remain extremely bullish on MicroStrategy. I think this is setting up to be potentially a very nice move. We'll see. We have to get past a couple levels that we spoke about, but I think things are looking pretty good, and I'll see you guys in the next one.